Hey, hey, hey.
In episode 4, the weight of the Hudson rumor mill leads Jack to make a surprising decision. Amy works for the Polo Pummy and sees a new side of Nathan in the process. Lou invited Amy to deal with a troubled polo horse named Maestro at the beginning of the episode, which put her in an unexpected situation. Since Maestro shares ancestry with the dignitary's beloved horse, which just went away, the horse Rick purchased was not only intended to participate in a charity polo tournament that Rick was organizing, but also to serve as a gift for a notable visiting dignitary with connections to the royal family. Unfortunately, Maestro needs to have his fear of the mallet and his anxiety when other horses charge him fixed quickly if he was to play in the polo tournament. Additionally, Lou insisted that Amy assist in fixing Maestro so that the event wouldn't be a failure because Heartland Beef is not only sponsoring the event but also providing the catering for the post-match dinner, and tick sales have been slow. Because Jessica has polo experience, Amy chose to enlist her assistance. A different strategy was required, nevertheless, as Jessica was thrown off the horse when she attempted to acclimate Maestro to the mallet due to her preoccupation with her personal affairs. In order for Maestro to at least begin acclimating to other horses being around him, Amy then made the decision to take him for a trail ride with Nathan and his horse Montana per Nathan's advice, and it was successful. With the use of open areas, they were able to calm Maestro's phobia of other horses. The only thing left to do was figure out how to fix Maestro's polo mallet problems. Thankfully, Jessica had a brilliant idea about how to accomplish it. In the hopes that the horse would grow accustomed to the mallet and lose its fear, Jessica proposed leaving it in Maestro's stall overnight, and the unconventional strategy was a huge success. To everyone's relief, the horse was prepared for the match by the end of the show, and the tickets had almost sold out. To show how well Maestro was doing, Amy and Jessica even played a little one-on-one polo. For Amy, this was undoubtedly an unusual client-horse plot, but in a positive manner. Since Lou and Rick valued mending Maestro, she was able to assist her friends and family as well. In contrast to Amy, who typically works on her client horses alone or with Logan, she was able to work with both Nathan and Jessica to complete the task. And watching Amy and Jessica enjoy the results of their hard work by playing polo with Maestro and one of Heartland's horses was very pleasant. However, Lou had to cope with more than just Maestro's headache throughout this episode. With rumors that Heartland Beef was having financial difficulties and that the family was secretly preparing to sell the ranch, the rumor mill in Hudson had been working nonstop, which, given that Heartland Beef was a sponsor, was detrimental to their business as well as the scheduled polo match. On a visit to the barbershop, Jack first heard the tale. One of the barbers, Loose Lips Leo, was spreading the word about it because Leo hadn't witnessed Jack enter the barbershop. Despite Jack's initial desire to dismiss the reports as mere gossip, Tim and Lou recognized the potential harm they could cause, particularly given the already poor ticket sales for the charity polo match. Tim decided to look into the origin of the rumors on his own. Tim learned that the rumors were based on Heartland's feud with Garland Foods after seeing Leo at the barbershop. Additionally, the allegations were more serious than they initially believed. In addition to the fact that Jack was reportedly trying to sell the ranch, there was also a rumor that Garland had fired Heartland Beef because of poor product quality. Lou and Tim agreed that they had to take action since they couldn't tolerate these rumors. Lou attempted to stop the rumors by sending Rick to the barbershop to try to hype up Heartland Beef, but it didn't work out as planned, leaving her and Tim angry and the rumors worse than before. Additionally, they found it incomprehensible that Jack was unwilling to take any action on the rumors. However, Jack requested that they allow him some time to consider it, particularly Lou, who was prepared to visit the barbershop herself to make amends. At last, Jack thought of a solution. He eventually stood up for himself and their company when he returned to the barbershop at the end of the episode. In a daring move, Jack told the entire barbershop that they were growing the business by entering the bison market, demonstrating to Leo that Heartland was not going out of business. That officially put a stop to the rumors and surely made everyone at the barbershop quiet. Lou and Tim were understandably taken aback when Jack informed them of his revelation and the fact that they now needed to acquire a herd of bison. However, they were prepared for the expenditure since they believed it would help steer Heartland Beef in a different direction and safeguard Heartland's future. I'm happy that Jack, Tim, and Lou decided to start growing bison in this manner, even if I didn't anticipate it. With any luck, it implies they can revive their business, and it will be fascinating to see how they handle all the challenges that owning bison would undoubtedly present. As Amy tried to work through her conflicted feelings toward Nathan, their ongoing plot took a new turn in this episode. Amy noticed a woman leaving Nathan's house at the start of the episode as she was bringing him the paperwork he needed to sign for access to the shared well. Given her prior interactions with Finn, the image further raised questions about Nathan's sincerity, particularly as Nathan refused to give Amy an explanation for the women's presence. Nathan later returned the signed contract to Heartland and suggested a trail ride as a way to assist with Maestro. Amy nodded grudgingly but kept her distance. But they did talk about the enigmatic woman Amy had seen at Nathan's house during the ride. Amy wasn't happy that Nathan didn't tell her who the mystery woman was, even if he clarified that there was nothing romantic between them. Since Amy didn't want to experience someone denying her anything again, but she also didn't want to force Nathan to become someone he isn't, Amy ended up telling Nathan about her encounter with Finn and recommending that they just remain friendly neighbors. Nathan apparently was affected by that because he returned to Heartland the following day and asked Amy to visit his ranch so he could put his cards on the table. Amy was reluctant to accept Nathan's invitation since she didn't understand why he couldn't simply tell her about the woman right away. Even more so after Amy informed Lou that she would be visiting Nathan's house tomorrow, which caused Lou to get anxious. Nevertheless, she arrived, and at last, everything began to make sense. Nathan told Amy about his father's fight with Alzheimer's during the visit, and he disclosed that the woman Amy saw was his dad's nurse, who occasionally assisted. Amy even had the opportunity to meet Nathan Sr., but he thought Amy was her mother, Marion, who had reportedly assisted him with a horse in the past. Amy finally saw a different side of Nathan. He was open and vulnerable about how his dad's Alzheimer's was the toughest thing he had ever had to do. She also had to reassure Nathan that he wasn't struggling alone as he had assumed. I just hoped that Nathan would allow Amy to be there for him and not eventually turn back to his secret-keeping ways. Since relationships are reciprocal, you can't truly assist someone if they don't want your assistance. In the first part of this review, I mentioned that Jessica was preoccupied with her personal life while assisting Amy with Maestro. Do you recall that? Jessica had to deal with a significant personal challenge in Heartland Season 18, Episode 4. As the official photographer for a team researching endangered wild horses in the American West, Jessica told Tim about her recent employment, which was actually her ideal job. She couldn't pass up the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, even if it would require her to leave the ranch for a month. But when Jessica received a letter from her father, whom she hadn't spoken to in years, requesting that she visit him in New Hampshire because of his deteriorating health, her plans were upended. Jessica was so torn by the request that she first chose not to go, but Tim was willing to stand by his wife and accompany her. Jessica's relationship with her father was, after all, more than tumultuous. He had abandoned her and her mother when she was a teenager in order to start a new family with his secretary, and he had not played a major role in her life since. She would also have to give up her ideal career in order to make the visit. Jessica thus debated whether or not to visit her father throughout the entire episode. She did, however, decide that she needed to see her father, but on her own terms after having a heart-to-heart with Tim and sharing her worries that her father doesn't genuinely want to be in her life again, but only wants Jessica to forgive him for being a bad father to Jessica. She was able to persuade her employers to let Jessica arrive a few days later so she could visit her father in New Hampshire first. Additionally, she told Tim that she needed to travel alone even though he asked if she wanted him to accompany her. After her vacation to New Hampshire, however, she asked her husband Tim if he would be willing to accompany her on the adventure for a few days in Arizona. For Jessica, the plot was both intense and fulfilling. She truly experienced a range of emotions in this episode, but she emerged stronger than before, realizing that she needed to forgive her father even though she was still upset with him, and that she had done well without his assistance. It was also rather lovely to witness Tim's steadfast support for Jessica, regardless of whether she chose to see her father or not. When Lisa was confronted with the shocking revelation that she still owned a burial site next to her ex-husband Dan, her story in this episode also took a more contemplative turn. And as a result of that revelation, she and Jack decided to have the death talk, which is to say what they intend to do after they pass away. However, things didn't go so smoothly on their first try. Lisa was hesitant to discuss Jack's desire to be buried at the Heartland family cemetery among his daughter Marion and first wife Lindy. She even abruptly ended their chat by telling Jack that she would rather concentrate on living than making plans for her final days. It turns out that Lisa battled with the entire concept of what would happen when they died away, which is why Jack was concerned that she was troubled by his mention of being buried next to Lindy. As a reward to herself, she even contemplated and ultimately purchased a white sports automobile, signifying her wish to live in the now. However, everything changed when Val Stanton, of all people, bought the land next to Dan. Lisa also mentioned that she wanted to be buried at Heartland and spend eternity with Jack when the time came, after telling Jack that she preferred to concentrate on all the living they still had to accomplish. In my opinion, every episode featuring Jack and Lisa is fantastic, but it truly makes me happy to see them make plans for the future while simultaneously living life to the fullest. Although discussing death may be a necessary evil, it also makes you value life more. And Lisa and Jack appear to be painfully aware of it, which makes them even more eager to make the most of their remaining time together. Following their visit to the library, Katie and Brandon, the boy she first encountered in episode 3 when he frightened Shadow with his dirt bike. While Katie was riding the horse, began chatting, and Brandon extended an invitation for her to accompany him to a monster truck rally. After Katie voiced her viewpoint in class and her teacher, Jasmine, informed her that they may benefit from her candor in the post-class talks, Katie ultimately blew him off to attend her writing class at the wine bar. Katie had no idea that Brandon was waiting for her at Maggie's with a red rose, indicating that Brandon intended for it to be a date, while she was having fun talking to Jasmine and trying to hide the fact that she is underage. The following day, when Katie asked Brandon whether everything was okay at Maggie's, he confronted her about Katie leaving him. It became evident that Katie's actions had wounded Brandon. And because he truly liked her, he even blurted out that he was anxious about their date. Katie was unaware that it was a date, so she was taken aback by it. To Brandon's dismay, she ultimately requested them to remain friends and stated that she didn't want their relationship to change. It was fascinating to see both the polished, mature Katie at the writing class and the adolescent, adventurous Katie with Brandon, who was eager to go to the monster truck event even though she had no prior knowledge of it. And while seeing Katie turn Brandon down was a little disheartening, perhaps it was the best thing for her to do. I'm just concerned that she's maturing too quickly without embracing her carefree adolescent side by choosing the writing class group over Brandon.